I've been making chairs for 30 years. People sometimes ask me where I get my chairs. Well, the truth is I make them all by hand in the traditional way. All my legs are turned by hand, and I use, I spend Mondays usually turning legs, and I usually turn about 40 legs at the beginning of the week, get them stashed on the Rayburn to dry. But they're all turned by hand individually on my old Coronet Major. And I did once buy an automatic lathe to see if I could sort of rationalise the process, but it was such a boring job, pressing buttons on this thing all day. It's been lying in the corner of my workshop for 5 years, and I only used it for a couple of months and then thought, no, never again. And I went back to turning by hand, which is a very satisfying thing to do. It's surprising. You'd think it would be boring turning 40 legs, but it's not boredom that makes me stop, it's fatigue. All the techniques are difficult to start off with, and they need a certain degree of skill. But once you've got the skill, it's great, and you just carry on, and there's no difficulty to it at all. Each chair has about 10 back sticks in it, and again I have to choose the wood very carefully for this. It has to be a hard, straight-grained ash to make it strong enough, because I love light structure, and my back sticks are really, at the top, they're virtually the same thickness as a pencil, which you'd think would be weak, but if you choose the right ash, it's actually very, very strong. I taper them all by hand, so that each one is tapered with a hand plane, and I've been doing this for years. I've even worn a hollow in my cast iron plane where my thumb goes from doing this so many times. Drying the wood is very important because the parts that go into the making of a chair, once you're putting the chair together, have to be bone dry. Otherwise they'll shrink in the joints and the chair will fall apart. So I bring all the chair parts into my kitchen, and I put the small ones into the oven of a Rayburn, and I arrange the legs and all the back sticks that go up to make the back of a chair, and I arrange them all on the top of the Rayburn. And fortunately, Helen, my wife, is extremely tolerant of this process, and they're there for 2 or 3 days. The way I know they're dry enough is that I have a moisture meter, and I check each piece of wood with my moisture meter, and if the needle flickers at all, then I don't use that piece of wood until the needle is completely still when I check it, because if there's any moisture in it at all, it's too wet for me. The chair, when it goes into somebody's kitchen, will actually go up to about 8% moisture from 0 moisture, and all the joints will swell in their sockets, and the chair will become actually tighter. So when people ask me, will the chair stand up to central heating or being next to a Rayburn, I say, put it right up against a Rayburn, and the joints will actually get tighter, they won't get looser. Now, one of the techniques I use is steam bending for the chair parts, and ash is easy to bend, but I have to choose it carefully. I use young ash, and I use dead straight ash. So I cut them all 5 foot, put them in my steamer, which is powered by gas, so it gets really hot, a good rolling boil, and the steam rises up through the box, heats up the wood, and then I take each one out one at a time, put it in put it between the handles of my straps, and bend them round whatever shape I want to produce, and then tie the ends of the strap together, leave the part to one side, and in a few days it's ready to use. But again, I use my moisture meter and make sure it's absolutely bone dry before I put it together. The designs I use are all traditional, although they're based on antique styles. I've rounded them, I've dug the seat a bit deeper, I've lent them back or forward. You know, I sit in every chair that I make to make sure it fits me and is comfortable to me. I make about a dozen different designs. There's 4 different rockers that I make. To go with those, there's 4 different armchairs, similar style but not on rockers, and I make about two different designs for going round a table as side chairs to go round a table without arms. And then I do children's chairs. I can copy the adult chairs in a junior size, in a small size, and that seems to be popular. I get an enormous satisfaction from making chairs. Over the years, I suppose I've been changing each generation of chairs a little bit, and that's kept my creative interest up. The other thing is that they're quite quick to make, so that at the end of the day I can sit back and say, done that today, and that's always very pleasing.